UKLC is presented by Barclays and Curry's PC World.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to day 2 of the UK League Championship. My name is Jake Matthews, and I am joined by Dan Harris, and we're shifting it up going into today's games. Dan, how are you feeling, buddy?
Feeling good. Didn't expect to be coming in today, but here I am, replacing Nick Scoundrel, and we had some pretty interesting games yesterday. They're exciting, but definitely a bit of a back and forth. So I'm actually pretty keen to be involved in today's games because there's a lot of a bit of a mix-up in terms of where our power rankings were.
Yeah, obviously that's one thing I want to talk about, but I also want to talk about how close every game was as well. Because, I mean, when we look at yesterday's game, there wasn't a single game that was like a one-sided affair. Every Baron, well, not every Baron, but maybe every kind of little fight a team could take, they would take. I kind of hope we get more of that today, because yesterday we just had some really clutch games and a bit of upsets here, a bit of changes here and then. Just overall, it was a fantastic showing for all of the teams. And for me, the team that I think walk away best from yesterday, even though they didn't win, were Bulldog, because they were looking kind of down in the dumps for me coming out of week 1. And sure, they're 0-3 going into today, but honestly, that was a team that had some life in them, especially going into a week as rough as this one.
Yeah, I think especially when you consider their opponents for Enclave, it could have been a lot worse in that situation. I will say there was like a couple of rough parts to the game. I feel like there was a point they got to where I was like, they should have just won. I literally was watching it. I was like, okay, game's over. And it just wasn't. And I feel like that's one of the issues that Bulldog really need to overcome, because if you're handed a game that feels winnable, you have the tools you need, and you still lose it, it's got to feel pretty rough.
Has to indeed. But we obviously do have to give a big shout out here to the people that make the UKLC sponsorship. It is obviously presented to you by Barclays and brought to you by Curry's PC Gaming. So thank you very much for being part of the family and making this show possible for us. Now, I do actually believe we have a little look at the standings so we can see where all of our teams are currently sitting here in the league. Thank you very much. So we're sitting at the top. It is going to be Enclave. Then we have Envision, Demise, London, and M&M. Running out with Munster also tied up there with a few of the other teams. Actually, sorry, they're not tied up there after yesterday. Completely having a brain fart there. But Bulldog and Barrage are the two teams currently sitting at the bottom of the table. So they need to make something work today, because otherwise it could be a really, really hard day for them.
Yeah, starting off the first 2 weeks being 0-4 is really rough. And neither of them have easy matchups. You have Barrage up against Demise, who have looked pretty solid, and they've only been beaten by London. And Bulldog are going up against London, who, again, they were one of our favorite rosters coming into the tournament. They had a little bit of a slow start, but they are looking on track. And that game yesterday, they were looking super good. So by all means, both of these teams could be staring down a 0-4 start. The question is just going to be, can they bring out something different? Can they show what we expected of them? Because I feel like it's not a massive gap from where we want them to be. Like with Bulldog, they were so close to winning that game, and then they just couldn't close it out. They couldn't find that extra little bit that they needed.
It was super close for them. But let's have a little look at today's matches to see who will be playing versus who. We started the day out with Munster taking on Enclave. Then it's Demise versus Barrage Academy. Envision will be then taking on M&N Academy. And we rounded the day out with London versus Bulldog. Orcs, which of these games are actually the ones you're really excited for?
So I think for me, Envision versus M&M is going to be a really interesting one. I think that's the only one that we're actually split off in our predictions for between me, you, and X-Scoundrel. And I think Envision have consistently shown that they are better than we expected. I think that jungler Alex has been an absolute monster. And I think that might be the disparity between them and M&M, is I feel like Gidunica hasn't looked like the strongest part of M&M by a stretch. But the thing is, M&M as a whole have looked like a solid team. And I think this one's just going to be similar to the games we saw yesterday, extremely close, hard to call. I feel like the other games, I am favoring a side in each of them. I think Enclave are clearly looking like one of the strongest teams. Yes, they did lose yesterday. And no, they didn't lose yesterday. They nearly lost yesterday.
Or nearly. It was close.
Very close. I'm saying lose because, I mean, no one won that game. But they are still on top of the ladder, and they are still looking like favorites against Munster. And then we have Demise and London, who both of those teams are looking like strong opponents. So I think we definitely have sort of a stronger party in 3 of our games. And I think it's really that M&M and Vision one where I just think it's so difficult to call. And that'll likely be the closest, the most interesting. But hopefully we get a lot of sort of close games, because I know every team is trying to give their all.
You and Scoundrel both kind of down on your luck as far as it goes with Gdanica. Not down on your luck, but maybe not completely sold on him. I'm still all in the Big G's camp right now. I've genuinely seen some light in him. Yesterday was a good game for him. He was versus No Name, who you and Scoundrel both highlighted in the past as being a really, really solid jungler. No Name put the Nidalee into his grave, so they were both kind of power farming versus each other. But Gdanica, he had a good game yesterday. I feel like he is a little coin flippy in some of his games, can be like a bit hit and miss, but when he hits, he does seem to hit it pretty hard. But let's take a step back now and let's look at our first matchup of the day. It will be Munster taking on Enclave. Obviously, Enclave 3-0 so far in the UKLC, looking to go 4-0 in week 1. How are we feeling about this particular game? Because I was just talking about No Name, and No Name obviously is the jungler for Munster. Let's talk about the matchup between him and Rafa here, Orcs.
So I think, Rafa is the most experienced player on Enclave. I think he looked very good yesterday, despite the fact that they nearly lost. So I think No Name's going to struggle to pull one over on him. But realistically, the avenue I think that is punishable by Enclave, if they play even slightly like they did yesterday, is the bot lane. I have never in my entire experience of watching UK League of Legends, commentating it, or even playing in the UK, have I seen as rough of a game from Shogun. And he did still manage to come through on that one, but it was way below his standard, and I know that he feels that way as on top of that. As for Rabstar, I wish I could say the same, but I've seen some really bad games from Rabstar before. So
he had a very, very inoptimal, let's call it, laning phase for Rabstar, walking into play range of Fresh at level what? He was like level 2 on the Fresh. Well, he was level 1 on the Varus, and it was level 2 Fresh he walked into play range of. And he did that a few times. It was a little subpar for him, but Jacob in the mid lane really came into his own on the Zoe. He was playing fantastic as far as the zone control around neutral objectives was, and even with Ravstar having a rough laning phase, he also was a pretty decent backup to Jacob once they got onto those objectives. So Enclave showing the ability to kind of control areas of the map that they want to play for in that, and maybe we'll see some change up in the ban phase towards this. Maybe not allow them the opportunity to pick these kind of like zone control focus kind of champions, ones that can poke you out as you advance on them. I also do want to give a big shout out to Only Angel as well, because he played weak side in yesterday's game, and he was getting dumpstered, but it really didn't get to him. He didn't really give up too much. He was just losing out in CS, and every time we looked top lane, he was just getting punched in the face by a set. But he was there for the team. He had one weird ultimate where he decided not to headbutt the ram. Instead, he wanted to go for a Bellows Breath. But overall, Enclave did look pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, for me, I feel like mid jungle, I am convinced by. I think Jacob and Rafa so far have looked very good. Bot lane yesterday was just the biggest question mark I've ever seen. Literally expecting a question mark ping to come out for the team. And Only Angel, as much as he does come into his own in the late stages, as much as he is playing weak side, there are definitely points where you could afford to not give as much up. And I think that he could be playing it a little bit better, but I am happy with it. But I think the reason we're putting such a heavy lens onto this team is they are top of the standings. We are looking at them as being the strongest team right now. So whenever we get mistakes that maybe would give a pass to other teams, we are going to hit on it extremely critically. And hopefully today for them, they can sort of prove themselves. But really, I'm looking towards Munster, and particularly No Name, and seeing what he can do to shake things up.
Well, we are gearing up for picks and bans for our first game of the day, but we are going to cut to a quick break. And when we're back, we'll be back with Munster taking on Enclave. Don't go anywhere. We'll see you in a second. Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to the UKLC. We are now geared up and ready to go into our first game of the day. Munster Rugby Gaming Academy taking on Enclave. This picks and bans are going to be interesting for me because I'm curious to see what Munster want to deny from Enclave. Obviously, Enclave got quite a lot of power picks in that Varus, and sure, the Varus maybe didn't quite go in the lane they wanted it to go, how well it wanted to go in the lane for itself, but it still did do its job as we moved later with the amount of poke it was able to put down. Jacob on the Zoe also looked really, really scary. So we have headed into picks and bans now. Curious to see what gets taken away. One of the things that I noted yesterday versus week one was there were a lot more lax on banning the Graves. Week one of the UKLC, we had a lot of Graves bans. Over in the NLC, we barely saw it banned. We saw it picked up a lot as kind of like a trade pick-off in the jungle. Yesterday, it looked like a lot of teams decided to step away from that and quite happily leave that Graves open. Enclave, however, not willing to do that for themselves, and they banned the Graves out.
I think it makes a lot of sense, especially since Munster have first pick and No Name's been so proficient on these champions that can get momentum. I think put him on Nidalee, and yes, he can be a problem, but I think it's something that isn't going to become a regular issue throughout the game, whereas Graves can be. Now, we've seen the bans pretty quickly fly through, and Syndra left open, going to be prioritized. I will say that I think Diva's laning yesterday was excellent. I think in the later stages, he didn't have quite as much impact, but put him on something like Syndra, and I really think that now you're wondering, what can Jacob do to answer?
Is this a chance that this could be a bot lane Syndra as well? Or do you feel with the fresh ban away, there's not enough safety for it in lane? Or has it started to fall away from the bot side a little bit more?
It's still always an option to go in the bot lane, so it can be put there, but ultimately, I feel like it'd favor them more in the mid lane. I guess it depends how the draft pans out. Quickly, though, Enclave going to answer with this set and the Calista. So the set is a flex. Calista likely going to go bot lane. It's something that Rabstar historically has played a lot of. When he first sort of made his name known in the UK, Calista was a big pick for him. And I know that Shogun plays a lot of set in the support role, so this could already be an extremely threatening bot lane. And it's something that you want to see, a sort of redemption arc for Rabstar and Shogun, who really did have a rough time yesterday. Now, with the Nautilus coming in, it syncs really well with the Syndra if they do want to put that bot lane. Also opens them up to other options. We do quickly see that Wukong come in, which could go jungle, could go top. So still a lot of flexibility for Munster so far.
Enclave pretty much also rocking a lot of flexibility for themselves. Now they're looking to pick up something here. Maybe a power pick in the mid lane. They get that Zir as to make sure it doesn't get banned away from them here. For the side of Enclave, you kind of expect them to ban away some AD carries now and either force the Syndra into the bot lane or maybe... I don't know. Actually, now I'm thinking about it because that Syndra's flexible. Maybe you don't just hard ban out AD carries.
Yeah, it's a bit of a tricky one. It depends. Is there anything that outright you just don't want to play into? You know that the Nautilus is likely going to support role. So you know that things like you can't really have the Aphelios Lulu because if you put the Nautilus mid, then the Syndra is going to be bot lane and so on. So they do ban away the Aphelios, just they don't want to go up against something with so much scaling power and has been pretty monstrous. And they are going to thin that pool out. But there are still options available, and with that flex being a possibility, it really hasn't revealed too much. Now, Munster expect to see jungle bans actually answered back, but instead they're going to open up with the Mordekaiser, something we've seen picked a lot into the Wukong specifically. So for me, that indicates it's probably going to be a Wukong top, or at least Munster is trying to suggest that.
Or it can just keep the flexibility alive if they want to send it top. That's also an option to them. That's going to be the Ezreal ban. So Enclave are just banning away these AD carries. This means that Blue Spirits could be playing this Syndra if he doesn't feel like anything optimal is left open for him. It's been 3 AD carries, technically 4 with Senna, all banned away so far. That pool has been thinned down a fair amount, but the Misfortune is still available, something we're seeing a fair amount of as well. As over to the side of Munster, they ban away the Malphite, so they don't want to give that over. And now, what do Enclave want to pick up here?
So the question is, do you want to reveal your set flex now, or do you want to sort of put some priority towards Raph in the jungle? Looks like they're just going to take the Lee Sin here. It's a strong pick. We've seen the Trundle and the Graves banned away, so not too many problems there. And it keeps the set flexibility alive. This could still go top lane. And if you see that Munster have banned away 2 top laners, if you still end up going up against a set, it's a really rough time. There are still picks that you can synergize with Calista, even if they are a little bit low in the priority compared to what you typically want to go for. We will now get to see where the Syndra's going. I expect it mid, but looks like they are going to put it in the bot lane. They're going to go for that Corky mid. So a lot of AP damage on the bot side. I expect to see an AD jungler. So I don't really want a Nidalee coming out here. It could still be that Wukong jungle, though, so we'll have to see. But that Corki gonna answer the Azir pretty well.
Alrighty. Now, for the side of Munster, they're looking for a jungler at this point, unless they decide to send the Wukong into the jungle. Decide not to. The Rek'Sai gets picked up, and now we're finding out whether or not this set is top or support. What do you think they're kind of lacking here for the side of Enclave, though?
I mean, in honesty, I don't think there's anything specifically that they're lacking. Maybe if they want to try and match the scaling of Munster, just because of the Corki pick, and the fact that the Calista isn't going to be as relevant in the later stages, they could have something there. But to be honest, I just think you want a good matchup into the Wukong, so whatever offers that the best. More frontline, not going to complain about that one with Yorn. It does give a scaling element with the ornaments coming in. And also you can itemize extremely well against this Munster team composition. The Rek'Sai's damage isn't going to be as relevant later. The Wukong, you just need to answer his damage in the side lane. In team fights, he's going to be looking for the backliners. You grab an adaptive helm at some point, and it really shuts down the damage coming out from Munster. So I think we have a more sort of, I guess, standard composition coming out from Enclave that we'd expect. Typically, they have that high-pressure jungler. They got a weak side top laner, scaling mid, really high-pressure bot lane they can play around. On the other side of Munster, it's more like they just try to answer things. So Nautilus, Syndra, very good into the Calista because you both have CC. You both have those point-and-click ultimates. The Corki answers the Azir well. The Rek'Sai answers the Lee Sin. And the Wukong, if you can find an advantage top, can be a problem. So I feel like it's more Enclave have sort of tried to round things out. Munster have gone, well, we'll just try and counter what you've picked up. But it does need Munster to sort of utilize those counters.
Yeah, well, that's what I was going to ask you. How do they utilize those counters? What is the game plan here? Because it's a fairly simple game plan for the side of Enclave. You can kind of see the basics of the team comp. Obviously, there are a few more nuances to it. But let's take a look at Munster. They've got a lot of counters. What is their game plan with these counters?
So I think with the Rek'Sai, you just want to show up bot lane. I mean, it's the expectation for Enclave. They want to play around this Calista set. So just meet them there. There's no reason not to. You have the sort of the Syndra Nautilus in this current situation where loads of CC available to both of them. You get the Rek'Sai on a good flank path, and then he can easily shut down the Calista. As soon as the Calista starts to fall behind, Enclave are really not going to feel good about the situation. And if Lee Sin shows up, Rek'Sai really good in that matchup because obviously you can knock him up to interrupt his Sonic Wave recast. And then as a result, he doesn't get his damage off and he's going to start to struggle. So I think really for No Name, this is the test for him. You're against a very experienced jungler. If you can track him, if you can shut him down and capitalize on that, you will be in a really good spot. That is the important thing to do. I think if Enclave can get Rabstar ahead, I will start to feel a bit concerned for Munster.
Alrighty, well, we're taken to the Summers Rift for our first game of day 2 here at the UK League Championship. It's Enclave, the undefeated team currently sitting at the top of the podium, versus Munster. Team who's not having quite as good a run of it. 1 and 2 in the standings at the moment. They're in 6th at the moment for themselves. So pretty long way down that ladder. And a win here will shake things up massively for Munster. So that is their game plan. I have to see how they can execute it. Like you said, tracking these jungles early, especially No Name.
I'm really feeling confident, though, for Munster, because I think the draft has been really intelligent. They've given themselves a lot of tools. Typically, when you see like an early Calista set, it's quite a scary matchup to go into. But having this Syndra Nautilus, you have answers. As long as you can keep that Syndra at a decent distance, and Set will struggle to get on top of the Syndra with the amount of CC. So, putting the emphasis on No Name, on this Rek'Sai, that's something I like to see because he has been the best performer for Munster so far.
All right, let's have both our junglers are starting up on the red side. Means they will have the map split somewhat. We'll see if No Name actually wants to look for something here. Decides to head away. I think he's just looking for a reward with the Scryers, actually. Just to see if he's been tracked. It looks like Rafa's going to probably do a full top side clear. And then head towards the bot lane. Or at least the bot side of the map.
So this is actually a little bit unfortunate that Munster end up leashing bot side. So they're being zoned out quite a bit here. Now that the next wave has come in, they will be able to step up. You can see Blue Spirit's doing his best to try and push, but Shogun's looking for it.
Yeah, he goes in for that flash. Jefe is going to take a few of those axes to the face. Has to get himself out of the ignite. Will burn down. It will tick him down. Shogun finds the kill.
Really confident play coming out from Shogun. Goes in, ready for that level 2 to hit. The ignite is enough damage. They take down Jeppe, and I mean, they didn't have a heal available as a critical thing. Typically, we see the TP from the Syndra, so they don't have the extra summoner. A heal absolutely would have kept the Nautilus alive. And on top of that, it's really not costly to burn your flash early on the set because he now has access to the Hex Flash. He has Nimbus Cloak as well. And he's just going to repeat this and keep putting pressure onto this Nautilus. So good play. And it's what we need to see from Enclave. You pick that Callisto set to try and put the pressure down. You're starting early.
And typically, we talked about it last week with the set support. A lot of people running the Omni Stone purely so they get access to that Hex Flash. This time, Shogun's opted in to the Phase Rush. Obviously means that once he jumps in with that combo, he actually can stick to them a little bit more efficiently. Looks like some shenanigans are breaking down in this bot side, though. Rafa looking to make his way over, trying to find Jeppe. The Hex Flash was used by Shogun, so they were just looking for a little bit more poke. And now Jacob, he's the one actually on the receiving end of a gank from No Name. The flash comes in with the knock-up. Jacob looking to get the shield off. Rafa trying to slide in to save his life. Does find himself the shield, but D.Va will secure the kill. Rafa now looking for a little bit more as the knock-up does land, and now Rafa has to flash away. No Name pulling off a really solid gank in the mid lane.
And there's a problem with the Lee Sin. The Rek'Sai just so powerful in these close-up skirmishes. He lands a Sonic Wave. Rek'Sai knocks him up, is able to punish. And I think Jacob, a little overzealous in that situation, feels like he has the safety from the Azir, but as soon as the Rek'Sai gets onto you, it's a great flash, by the way, from No Name. There's no real way you can use that escape, because once you collide with an opponent, you end up, you don't dash any further. So good capitalization. They get a kill onto the Corki, great. They also remove Rafa's flash. Nice to see an answer back coming out from Munster, but now Shogun's setting up for this.
Yeah, he's going for that Hex Flash. Actually, will get in range for the moment. Phase Rush is going to get procced. He has the Face Breaker. Jeppe won't take the kick from Rafa. And now Jeppe actually lands the hook. Big Haymaker does land to Blue Spirits. And you said at the beginning that you wanted to see No Name in this bot lane. So far, Rafa's been the one putting a lot of attention down there. But now No Name is about looking for that tunnel onto maybe Rabstar or Shogun. He's going to go over. And actually, Rafa's base continued. So he is out of there. Rabstar gets the slow off, and Shogun exceptionally low for himself. I don't think he has anywhere to go. The hook goes a little bit wide, but No Name does find the damage, and Shogun will fall. Blue Spirit secures the kill.
Yeah, Jeppe there fishing to try and get Rabstar on top of that, but ultimately, Rafa was hovering. They didn't get the wave shoved in, so they were still very exposed, and No Name picked the perfect opportunity to gank, so they answer back in the bot lane. And right now, this is looking really Munster favored. Mid's going well, bot lane's going well. The wave is in a bad spot for Rabstar, and he's down in terms of farm. The only thing that I'm concerned about is his top lane matchup. Wukong is significantly down in terms of CS, and there's no reason to suggest that he should be. So a little bit concerned about DBL. But we do see Enclave. They have priority bot lane. The reset's a bit later for Munster. Rafa will get this Cloud Dragon. But the consolation prize for Munster is that wave bot lane is huge. And if you look right now, the CS is dead even between the bot laners. But Blue Spirits will be able to collect all this farm, and they'll just push him even further ahead.
Yeah, Blue Spirits pretty okay with the state of that. Losing a Cloud Drake and getting himself a big old lead in the lane. You can see that Shogun's actually moved his way up towards this top side here. Sorry, the mid lane. Seeing if he can find an opportunity. But D.Va, without that flash, is playing nice and safe. Doesn't want to get caught out by the Shurima shuffle from Jacob. There's 6 minutes on the board, so it looks like Rafa just making his way. Rabstar just making his way back towards the bot lane to try and catch some farm here.
So I've actually seen a very early swap here from Munster. It's still 1:20 until the Herald spawns, and Blue Spirits and Jeppe are already heading up there, looking to capitalize on it. Not sure I agree with it too much. I mean, you're getting close to Blue Spirits level 6. You're up in farm. I feel like you could have gone bot and then looked to punish. Because right now, if Enclave move Rafa down, they could potentially just start taking plates before you even set up. Remember that typically you want to get the Herald and translate that. Enclave instead up. Their wave isn't big enough. Rafa isn't in position. They're just going to match on the top side. But I don't think they're going to lose out too much in this situation. Because, I mean, the big thing is Munster can't start up the Herald. But I guess they just want to capitalize on the priority and get some vision control as soon as possible.
Jacob is going to get some damage into D.Va here. It's Holy Angel. Looks for him with a Q. Not going to go for it, though. Holy Angel just kind of doing a stop pie on his way down towards the bot side. He does have his teleport. Same for DBL. So if a fight is to break out, Both those top laners can join. Looks like Munster, they're just moving up into this jungle as a group to steal away the red, but mainly to place these wards to get control of the area so they can track Rafa on this Lee Sin making his way through. Shogun will spot out Blue Spirits. Now let's try and chase him down a little bit. Scatterweeds can go a little bit wide. And Shogun will start to nestle some of this vision control back for himself around this area. Rift Herald's up. And are Munster going to go for this? And is there going to be a contest from Enclave? This is the question for me.
No way. No way. I'm pretty sure Corki just picked up the package there. Yeah, no way you're going to contest that. Corki's package. Syndra's just at level 6. Not worth it. Just hand it over and back away. If they fight this, I think it's really risky. And on top of that, you already have the vision control set up by Munster. You can see some has been cleared out by Enclave, but it just isn't enough. They have a ward in it. They know what's happening. It's got to concede it.
Well, the early shove was nice there for the side of Munster. They were able to rotate up a little bit earlier. We had our questions, but they used that time efficiently to get control of the jungle and put those wards down.
Yeah, I think critically, Enclave didn't really put themselves in a position to punish. Maybe they could have stacked the wave of bot lane, got Rafa to move down, and they could have already taken the first tower by the time that Herald goes down. Potentially, a better team might have punished that, but Enclave just opted to match, play it safe, and the end result is Munster set up the vision. They got that Herald, so they can definitely look to capitalize on that one. No plate's actually gone down, but we do see a flash in the top lane.
Yeah, they're looking for the play there. Shogun looks for the haymaker. Jeppe secures the kill. It does get turned around by Shogun on to Blue Spirit. So they get a kill onto both of the AD carries. Support picks up a kill apiece.
I'm going to say it favors Enclave slightly. Because although Rabstar's missing more farm, he didn't burn his flash there. It's going to be up pretty soon. Blue Spirits without his flash, Jeppe without his flash is a little bit of an unfavorable trade when it's a 1-for-1. I also feel like the set does use the gold more effectively, but either way, it's a fairly even trade. Both supports just managing to get the damage out.
Well, the swap's coming back through. Have a little look at where the items are currently sitting. Rabstar's finished up his Berserker's Greaves. It's the Lost Chapter onto Blue Spirits and another Amp Tome, which suggests that he'll be going for that GLP as Rabstar and Only Angel do find Jeppe, but Jeppe is able to hook his way away. Scout of the Week doesn't quite land, and Only Angel looks to continue the chase here. That's going to force the teleport out from DBL and Enclave. They're just going to walk away now. They don't want to fight.
Yeah, they got the teleport. That's the condition you're looking for in this situation. Ideally, Only Angel resets here, but actually, they might be looking.
Oh, Shogun Hex flashes. Rafa now might be the one who gets caught out. Yes, I thought jump over the wall. Shogun has a big shield to work with from that haymaker. Does a serious amount of damage as Rabstar pulls him back in. Now they're looking to turn the fight. DBL is going to fall as the teleport gets used. Enclave find a good turnaround there.
And it was just a bait. There is no way you can commit onto the set. By all means, Set is one of the worst champions to commit onto because he gets that massive shield from the haymaker. But on top of that, he's got a Callista paired up. So they start pumping damage into the Set. The Set gets a massive haymaker into the Callista ult. Very easy to turn around and take down DBL. And DBL is falling really far behind in this top lane matchup. You want the Wukong to have the gold. You want him to have the Blade Ruin King when he's getting out-farmed by an Ornn. It's just an awful situation. 2 dragons now in favor of Enclave as well.
We are looking at that Infernal Soul as well. It's a bit more extra damage for the members of Enclave, if they can get it. Obviously, for the side of Munster, you might want to start testing those dragons at some point soon. This top lane disparity is still pretty big, though. Only Angel's finished up his Sunfire Cake, while DBL still sitting on the components for the Blade the Ruin King. One of the things that you were talking to me about last week, Orcs, was how the Blade the Ruin King for melee champions isn't really that great until you complete it. The components aren't all that useful for melee champions. They struggle to kind of use them effectively as like an AD carry, say. Yeah. So DBL still in a bit of a power trough right now on this Wukong.
As well, the spike you get from completing it is so big now that it is the 12% current HP. It's just a world of difference. So DBL being behind definitely does hurt in this scenario. Has the cull, which is going to take time. Still 45 CS away from stacking that up. And he's 2 levels down on Only Angel, so he's kind of just at his whim. He is relatively close to level 9, but even so, this is not a good spot to be in. You can see Only Angel started to itemize magic resist because he's so confident right now that DBL isn't a threat. Herald will be thrown down mid, but it's not a good timing for it. This was oh, Herald's about to run out, we might as well. They will get 2 plates here, but no wave means you won't get anything more.
Yeah, Jacob's able to take down the Herald as well, so...
Only No Name who got that gold, so you don't even put it onto the Corki. So, I mean, honestly, in terms of the value of that Herald, very low. Very low.
All right, well, let's take stock of where we are so far. As we are looking just at Enclave now starting to kind of punish Munster, who had a pretty good start to this game, all things considered, especially with that early play by Shogun in the bot lane. There is still a CS lead to Blue Spirits. It looks like Rabstar and Shogun are setting up for a little something using this alcove as bait, and Blue Spirits, Flashless isn't buying that at all.
I mean, you have to be so careful around these bushes against the set because he'll just sit in them and wait to Hex Flash. That is literally how set support is played. It's just playing around the Hex Flash, looking to find these engages, and then, especially with the Callista, very hard for them to turn it around on you. You have your Haymaker shield, you have the Fate's Call to pull you away. Now you see actually Enclave collapsing up to the sword towards the top side. They're looking to punish
going
DBL.
Across the board here. Only Angel's going to use the ultimate, get himself the knock up, the slide and glide. He just gets crushed by Sand Soldiers and a ram. Diva does actually teleport in, does a lot of damage to Rafa. He has a package to drop. And he may just look to continue this up here. Goes for that package onto Rafa. Rafa shifts away. And Diva doing a fair amount of work there. Meanwhile, in the bot lane, there was a play attempted by No Name, but Enclave just backed off. They knew all their resources were top lane. They didn't want to overcommit, didn't want to get caught and punished. So Munster don't really get anything back there.
No, they do have sort of some priority up towards the top side because now Only Angel and Jake are going to reset. I'd actually like to see Diva path towards mid lane, shove that in, and then they have complete control of the Herald. So as much as that's a nice play to get that kill, it denies from DBL again, who's still not finished the play to the Ruined King. This could end up costing you that Herald. And that could be enough to take down that mid lane tower. Right now, the Diva play with fire a little bit.
Yeah, he's going to take the kick from Rafa, but Rafa saw how much damage he was able to do to him earlier. Doesn't want anything to do with that. Looks like Munster are going to get their second Herald. We'll have to see if they can use this one a little bit more efficiently. So far, there has been no first tower blood. This Herald should help them at least secure that. So maybe an opening, maybe an opportunity to the side of Munster. They will pick up the Herald, the second one for them. Dragon's spawning up in a minute.
Pretty slow-paced game overall. And when Enclave has 2 dragons in the pocket, when they have the likes of an Ornn, I feel like that favors them overall. We were looking at Munster to really capitalize on these counters in the lanes and punish. Haven't really seen it so far, but there's still very much an opportunity. And right now, this Corki is feeling very powerful. 174 CS, who just been farming up a Storm, has that mana immune stack, and you saw after hitting that level 11 how much damage it did to Rafa. And there isn't really that much magic resist itemized yet for Enclave. Shogun is building towards that armor. You have Rafa with the Ninja Tabi, which is still useful, but they don't offer that magic resist. And Only Angel only really starting to pick up the magic resist now. So they could capitalize on Diva being strong to look to take over this fight if they want to contest this dragon. They are setting up the vision here. They don't really have a good flank board for DBL. He is going up towards the top side. Now, though, it looks like they're fishing for a pick, and Enclave is going to start the dragon.
Remember, they have a pretty easy take on this with the Rend and obviously the execute from the key kick, but this might just be the team fight for Enclave. They're going to find themselves a 2-man knock-up. Jacob slides in, misses out on the Emperor's Divide, and now Diva is on that backline, doing a fair amount of damage to Rafa and Rabstar. Has to flash away from the kick, though, as that's a little scary. Jeppe lands an absolutely clutch hook onto Rabstar, but Rabstar's still alive. DBL flashes in forward, tries to find himself the Cyclone, but he's not going to be able to find it because he already gets himself the kill. Only Angel flashes forward and finds himself the execute off onto No Name. Jungler down, and Enclave look to continue the chase up here. A massive flash by Shogun into the showstopper, throwing the Syndra into the middle of everyone. DBL does use the showstopper for the moment, and he actually does get that damage off. Shogun now running away. The double kill has been picked up on to the Wukong. Rafa has to be so careful here. He wants to try and contest this dragon, wants to try and pick it up, gets the kick off onto Diva. And the dragon remains started up here. Rafa's just going to slide in. He can't secure the dragon. Diva picks it up.
Such a close fight, a lot of back and forth there, but ultimately it was just a huge performance from Munster. DBL criticized his laning phase, but in the team fights, he absolutely delivered. He shut down Rabstar. He managed to consistently get the value in the Wukong with some great ultimates, and really it felt like Enclave just got a little bit split there. Shogun was doing as much as he could to consistently get the CC, but the rest of the team just kind of got divided. Losing the Calista that early obviously hit a lot, but even after that, there was this big period where Rafa was walking around the back of the Dragon Pit and just wasn't assisting at all.
And I feel also D.Va's been so powerful this game.
Yeah,
He's
I think the
had a lot
solo
of
lane is
impact
for sure.
into his team. He's 2-0 now, got the Triforce, got the Manamune. Obviously, once that's fully stacked up, he's going to have a lot of bonus damage to work with. And Shogun actually attempting to steal that away.
He got what he wanted, though. He denied the blue buff from D.Va because No Name had to smite it. That's what you were looking for. Doesn't matter if Shogun gets or not. He doesn't even have any mana, so he's not too bothered. But the end result is you deny it from D.Va, which is important. So good play there from Shogun. You see Rabstar just pushing up the mid lane. Side waves are in favor of Munster, though. You can see that D.Va in the top side will be able to push up heavily against Jacob. And DBL is just crashing that wave bot because Only Angel was kind of looking potentially for something in the mid lane, but will not find it. Herald about a timeout, though, so I expect we just see this thrown down mid lane. That is my criticism of Munster. They haven't really coordinated the Herald usage. It's just kind of like, oh, I guess I throw it down now.
They've done a really good job of actually getting control of the Baron area to catch this Herald and get it both times. But yeah, like you said, the usage of it has been a little kind of forced almost, just because they've not been able to find themselves the opportunity to place it down. This should result in the tower crumbling. Yeah, I believe this should be enough, right?
It's going to be, actually, it will have a bit more health than just the Herald will do. So if they can clear the wave, this won't kill it instantly, I believe. Yeah, so it doesn't even go down. And that's the thing, as long as it's still up, it's still up. Especially if you can move the Azir open, you can defend. Now, D.Va will get a top lane tower. This Corki, especially with package, way too strong to deal with. Manamune also stacked, so even more power. But they are still looking to take down that mid lane tower. Well, they should be able to actually just push up and get it here because Azir isn't there. Azir is the one you want defending this.
Yeah, and he's actually getting dove on by D.Va there. Does try to put some damage down into him, unable to find it. And now Shogun, he's the one joining up, misses out on the face breaker mid lane. They get themselves a kill onto Rabstar and the turret. This is going to be the ultimate onto Rafa, as Rafa's taking so much damage. D.Va is going to be able to come in with the assist there. And now Jeffe's coming forward to try and save the day. Great showstopper does get used, and the blast cone looking for that haymaker. Can't quite sink the teeth in, and Shogun will fall. Blue Spirits picks up the kill. Munster are just starting to take over this game.
And just D.Va doing so much damage there, and the support set just unable to find enough to take him down. We saw a situation where, you know, we were questioning Munster's use of that Herald. Again, it wasn't great, but the pressure from D.Va means they get 2 towers top, they get a tower bot, they get a tower mid. We suddenly went from a 0-tower game to 4 in favor of Munster, and then now 5,000 gold up. And this is where it really starts to get scary for Enclave, because the Calista isn't feeling super relevant right now, especially compared to the Syndra. The Azir has a time to go, and Ornn, he's only just got his own ornaments, and Wukong, considering how bad the laning phase went, has completely caught up. So Munster was a slower start than I liked, but they found the pace in the mid game.
"21 minutes on the clock." Gold lead, like you said, sitting in favor of Munster right now. Well, the fact that Munster were able to get that Infernal Drake, it also really kind of just put a spanner in the works on this potential soul pickup early for Enclave. It just brought some space over to Munster. Let's talk scaling, Orcs. Everyone likes to talk about scaling. How is the scaling in this game? What are we looking at as far as that goes?
I think it's actually a pretty hard call. I think it's actually hard to say because you have elements like the Ornn are good. I think it depends how the fight goes. But I actually feel like I'm favoring Munster a bit. I think the Corki in the later stages is very hard to deal with. I think Calista, you're not really going to get a chance to free hit. I feel like Munster might come out of it better in the late stages. But again, I feel like it's very fickle. Once Only Angel starts passing out the ornaments, once he's super tanky, they may struggle to cut through him. So You know, the more I'm talking about, the more I'm going back and forth, because I think when we get to like the very late stages, I think Enclave might end up pulling out ahead just because of the Ornn and the Azir. But I think for a long time now, Munster are going to feel stronger. I don't think Enclave can sit back and go, oh, it's cool, we outscale. They need to start making something happen. And right now, Munster just keep pushing their advantage.
Oh, that turret falling down now. All of the turrets have been taken away from the side of Enclave. All their tier 1s, sorry. And they lost the tier 2 bots in the top lane. Infernal Drake gets picked up by No Name as well, denying the second one from the side of Enclave. Now meaning we're 2 Drakes apiece. And the last few dragons have been in control by Munster, so it's a good omen for them.
Definitely is. And those stats going to come in huge, especially for things like the Corki. Already got a lot of attack damage under your belt. It's just going to get amplified even more. You can just keep stacking up those dragons again and again. And if you get 4 Infernal Dragons and the Infernal Soul, that's when the Corki just becomes unstoppable. And that really changes how the game will go, because if D.Va gets an Infernal Soul, they won't outscale ever, because he just does so much damage with those rockets. He's nearly level 16 as well. And that is, again, a huge spike for the Corki.
Finished up his Infinity Edge on this base as well. So he's got the Triforce, fully stat Mirror Mana, and the Infinity Edge. His damage is going to be skyrocketing right now.
Especially if he gets a crit. But you see the Might of the Rune King handed out to Rabstar, so at least a little bit of strength coming in there, and these ornaments will start to make some difference, but I'm just looking at that Corki, and I just feel like unless you can take him down, I don't think you really hold up. You really need another item or two from Only Angel before he can withstand his damage. And for the rest of them, Rabstar needs to auto-attack way too many times, whereas D.Va, if you get one crit, one good rocket, that's Rabstar the fight. So Munster definitely with control here. Starting to push up the mid lane, bot lane being handled by the Corki and DBLvo taking over. You can see Enclave looking to respond in a defense here, and maybe they can find a window. Shogun's definitely looking.
Does take a fair amount of damage there, though. As D.Va pop the package onto Only Angel. Only Angel has nowhere to go. D.Va will pick that kill up so easily. And like you say, he hasn't really got the items to deal with this Corki damage. He's getting melted through.
Yeah, just gets shredded. I think you really need an Adaptive Helm for Only Angel before you can actually like mitigate. Adaptive Helm, Randuin's is like a great combo against the Corki, but I'm not even sure if you can afford to get all that. I think just an adaptive. Especially now, D.Va's level 16. It's where it really is starting to get scary right now. Munster just trying to put pressure on these tier 2 towers. This mid one is just going to go down. Nothing they can do about it.
Shogun goes in though, does get himself the Hex Flash. They use the Showstopper. Rabstar caught out as the kick lands onto Jefe. Not the target they needed. They use the ultimate as well. And in goes Jacob with Seismic Shurima Shuffle onto the support. And that means he's just going to get picked up. Munster find 2. Enclave looking for the opportunistic play, and they're just unable to find anything with it.
Coordination just wasn't quite there. Rafa didn't commit as hard as maybe he could have. Wasn't there close enough. Only Angel slowly wandering over, whereas all of Munster there extremely fast. And there was a moment where I potentially saw a glimmer of hope with D.Va nearly getting Shurima shuffled, but it didn't connect. And now Munster looking towards this Baron. TP coming in from Blue Spirits on full HP, and they're looking for the fight.
Yeah, and Only Angel instantly gets hooked. Rafa sees the kick to disengage DBL from him. Only Angel flashes away, but gets chased down by the Void Rush. He's going to fry the Call of the Forge God, but not even going to get the second recharge off there. Munster a little bit low. As DBL actually looks to hunt down Rafa. Remember, Rafa just used the kick. He's going to get jumped onto here. Rafa goes golden, and now DBL takes some damage from Rabstar. The Baron continues to be charged up, and Munster actually have to back away to make sure that their top laner doesn't die. And also, health bars are a little bit low for the people tanking the Baron, so Enclave could find some kind of opening back into that game. They are just going to back off and reset. They're happy with the gold lead at the moment for themselves.
I think a big thing as well is they're looking towards that dragon that is just spawning up in 45 seconds. And speaking of the gold lead, you can see it in front of you. Every single person on the side of Munster is ahead. Mid lane is that big discrepancy, though. Absolutely massive. And I believe Blue Spirits just picked up a Rabadons as well. So this Munster side, 7,000 gold in the lead. looking really strong. This could be Enclave's first defeat. Let's see if they can do anything about this dragon spawning in 20. That'll be the third for either side.
And the Angel looks for the charge, doesn't quite find it. Jeff and Blue Spirits are being really hard to pin down. So the Infernal Soul is coming up, and only Angel and the rest of the team are trying to do something about it, trying to deal with it. They've called out the Call of the Forge God. They are going to land the two-man knockup. It's going to force the teleport out. Shogun gets scattered the wheat. No Name lands a Prey Seeker as only Angel has to charge away. And Shogun, he's also running to the hills. That rocket did so much damage to Rafa and Shogun. And now Munster, they got themselves their pick. They're going to just turn and get the dragon.
I just don't get what they're doing. I mean, Jacob wasn't there. And they just start the fight. They don't have the follow-up. And then only Angel just ends up in the middle of fight.
Rabstar, the Unleashed Power comes in. He actually flashes away from the Prey Seeker. They get the knock-up onto DBL's clone. And he's happy to walk away. No Name over the wall. Looking to see if he can find his opening. They do get the shuffle out, and that's just so much damage coming out from Blue Spirits. Shogun throws down the ultimate onto one, but a double kill is getting picked up by DBL, who cyclones forward to secure those kills. And now this should just be the end of the tower. This could be the end of the base here for Enclave.
I think it's just game. I don't think there's much they can do.
Coming up in a second, but everybody else is dead. They don't really have the damage to deal with this. They don't really have the wave clear to deal with this. Only Angel's going to have to make a miracle happen to keep this game going, but he's already being melted through here. Rafa can't do anything but watch his top laner die. And Munster just come up huge, beating out the undefeated. Enclave will fall.
Really strong performance coming out from Munster there. They were against the #1 undefeated team of Enclave, and they take them out. And it was a decisive one as well. It really felt like the draft was good. They had answers in several areas. I think Diva on the Corki became an absolute monster, so credit to him. We saw a similar situation yesterday where Diva did get a lot of momentum from the laning phase, but it wasn't enough because he was on the Zoe. The impact couldn't be carried through. But here, I think we're seeing Munster really start to ramp up. And this could be a really formidable side as we look through for the rest of the split. So huge credit to them. And like I said, I was really looking at the draft and thinking they have a real shot here, and they took it.
Yeah, they played really well with that. Like you said, they kind of just picked to counter everything Enclave through, and they did well. Obviously, the top lane was a little worrying for DBL, but he had a really good comeback. When we looked at the gold towards the end of that game, he was actually up in gold. So he was looking really, really solid there. And just across the board, that was a stellar game from Munster. Jacob didn't have the performance he had yesterday on the Zoe. His Azir this game was just really denied. The Corki was too much for him to deal with, and it felt like the Corki was really what decided a lot of that game.
Yeah, I definitely think so. I think the momentum we got was huge, and I think as we've highlighted on, really smart adaptation in every area. I think Enclave was starting to see some cracks. They had a good week one. This was not convincing. Yesterday wasn't convincing. This has been a bad week, and they need to work on that consistency because we have them pegged as one of the top rosters. This is even though they got one win this week, they can't really be proud of it, and they're gonna have to go back to the drawing board for week 3 and ask themselves, how are we gonna maintain our #1 spot? Because honestly, by the end of today, they could have actually lost it. But I mean, it'll at least be tied. But the fact that they had a standalone first place spot was huge, and losing that obviously is gonna hurt.
Unfortunately for the side of Enclave, a bit of a heartbreaking loss, really, as Munster were able to pull out that win. But for Munster, that was big because they were 1-2 going into today. Now they're 2-2. So coming out this week, they're even. They got a 50% win rate, and they can look to kind of improve going into next week. Because looking at the players, one of the things that Scoundrel kind of hit on was it's a really solid roster for Munster. And I think week 1 was very much some of the parts hadn't quite come together for them. But coming into this week, things are starting to look better. And there's a bit of an upward trend for Munster, so I'm curious to see how next week goes for them. For Enclave, though, it is a matter of kind of just getting this bounce back because that was a pretty sad loss there.
Yeah, I think as well, looking at No Name, he's someone I was really hyped to see coming into the UKLC. Obviously playing the UKL and a lot of hype around him. He really performed this game. He knew exactly what he needs to do on the Rek'Sai. And we saw Raph on the Lee Sin just not able to have the same impact, you know. This is a very experienced jungler for the side of Enclave, the most experienced player on a team with, you know, names like Shogun, Rabstar, and the Angel, and yet he just wasn't able to find the impact. So No Name, he is really looking like a hot prospect and a rising star. So I'm going to be keeping my eye on him, and I suggest anyone viewing does the same.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I do believe we are getting prepped for a interview with Diva, the mid laner, obviously for the side of Munster. So we're going to cut to a quick break, and when we're back, we'll have that interview. So don't go anywhere. See you in a second. Hello and welcome back to the UKLC. We are standing by and getting geared up for an interview with Diva, the man in the mid lane for the side of Munster Rugby Gaming Academy. Diva, can you hear me? How you doing, buddy? I can hear you. How you doing, mate?
Fine,
awesome. Yeah. So let's have a little chat about, obviously, that last game. It felt kind of pretty calm and controlled from you. It wasn't as chaotic as any of the games we had yesterday. Did you guys just kind of have a grip on that game from the start to the finish, or was it maybe a little bit more chaotic than it looked to us?
I think it was pretty controlled, yeah. There were like a few times where it got a bit out of hand, but I mean, it's just like our playstyle right now. Like if we can get our stuff, we can get control down. We usually like close out games pretty cleanly.
Okay, so obviously beating Enclave huge. They're number one in the standings, but they've had a pretty rough week. Yesterday was a game they should have lost, and obviously losing today. Do you think this is just a bad week for them, or do you think this is them showing sort of they're not quite the top dogs?
I'm not sure. I think, yeah, probably like maybe individually they had like a few bad performances this week, but I would say like it's still early to tell. Like no one is consistent enough to be called like good team, bad team. Like I think everyone's like trying to find their way. So yeah, I wouldn't say like they're still there like that, I'm saying.
That kind of stems actually into my point as well, because obviously you came in today in 6th place in the standings, and obviously with that win, and once the chips kind of fall after the rest of the day, we'll figure out exactly where you guys are sitting. Where do you feel you're going to be kind of let's say at the end of the next 2 weeks? Where do you feel you'll be in the standings as far as the UKLC goes realistically?
Well, personally, I think we played a few of like pretty good teams. We're like expected to be top 4 right now in the first 2 weeks. So I'm expecting like other games are gonna be easier than this, and hoping for top 4. But I mean, I really don't care like winning, losing, as long as we learn and we actually get to playoffs. That's all I care. Then we pop off in playoffs.
Good points. Obviously, we've put a lot of hype into No Name coming in the jungle, who's a really sort of exciting prospect. How has it been playing with him and being the sort of mid-jungle duo for your team?
Yeah, actually, we've been doing a lot. I think he's really good, like mechanically really insane. Yeah, I mean, I'm surprised that this is his only like 2nd split or what, and he's 16. Like he's really calm, I think, like under pressure. And I think every one of his performances has been good. So looking forward to playing with him more.
Awesome. Well, congratulations on your win, Diva, and good luck for your games next week. We'll be running the interview out there. Guys, make sure you do stick around, though, because we got more games to come here at the UKLC for today. So coming up after the break, it'll be Demise versus Barrage Academy. Don't go anywhere. We'll see you after the break.